Hello, MGA. I'm Juliet Braslow, and I work with UNESCAP in the Space Applications section, and I'm happy to share with you some information about a publication that we recently launched. And I look forward to any feedback you might have, because part of the purpose of these kinds of publications and knowledge products is to help you and others who are working in this area, and also others who don't necessarily fully understand the potential positive impact of space applications in our development as globally as a society. So I'm happy to receive any feedback you may have, and I look forward to presenting to you and hope you enjoy. I'm happy to present the Geospatial Practices for Sustainable Development in Asia and the Pacific 2020, a compendium. And this is the first time that these country progress examples are available in one place in an interactive, searchable digital publication, providing a baseline for understanding and for measuring future progress and initiatives. I would like to also say thank you, because I think some of you watching may have contributed, and also just so that the countries and partners who sent examples of the good practices and also provided feedback along the way are acknowledged, because this kind of work and these kinds of publications are really an effort of many. Pulling together what's really happening on the ground and sharing it widely, and then getting feedback so that the next time we share information, it can be updated and improved. And here's the QR code for the publication itself, so you can go and download it, please, and share it as widely as you would like. And this was a member state, so the countries in Asia and the Pacific requested this publication, and most of the input is given to us by space agencies and other relevant ministries and agencies in the countries themselves, as well as other partners working on the ground. And it's based on the Asia Pacific Plan of Action on Space Applications for Sustainable Development. And the part of the objective is to show a baseline, to really see where are we starting from, because this plan was officially launched in 2018 and endorsed then by the member states in Asia and Pacific. And we want to see where we're starting from and also what's happened in the very beginning, these first 2 years. It's a needs-driven blueprint that helps harness space and geospatial applications, as well as other digital innovations to support countries to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And here you can see all the connections in this plan of action to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and also to the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. I will not go into detail of many of the examples because there are so many in the compendium, but I want to give you an overview and maybe a bit of incentive to go download it and take a look. And this compendium explores in depth the ways that countries are using geospatial information, and it includes examples that are significant in each country's context. So based on local access and also the capacity to collect, use, and leverage geospatial information. There are over 100 country-based practices that were contributed and that use geospatial information to support sustainable development. I'm going to go over the 6 thematic areas that also form the chapters of the compendium. So the thematic areas of the plan of action I just mentioned is how we structured the compendium and publication. The first is disaster risk reduction and resilience. Asia Pacific region is the most disaster-prone region in the world, and geospatial information has been widely recognized as an important tool throughout the whole disaster risk management cycle. And we include 18 practices here from countries in the region that show all stages of disaster risk management, and also include topics like agroecosystem resilience and drought monitoring. I'm going to include a few examples of country practices that had impact or are important in the region, and this is one of them. In India, the early detection of the severe cyclonic storm Fani in 2019. So this was the strongest, most severe cyclone in 20 years. And one of the major important aspects to keep in mind is that compared with a very similar cyclone 10 years before that caused more than 10,000 deaths, the death toll was contained to 81 people. So comparing 10,000 to 81 people. And this is really because of the ability to track and with track with accuracy the cyclone, and also analyze and assess the potential impacts. So this powerful information was at hand and helped to support the evacuation and the cooperation, for example, of India and Bangladesh to evacuate over 2 million people to safety. And so this is a really incredible example of how this kind of information can really be powerful and life-saving and have huge societal impacts. And beyond disaster risk management and resilience and reduction, the second chapter is on natural resource management. Asia Pacific region consumes more than half of the world's natural resources, and geospatial information provides key insights for sustainable natural resource management. And we highlight 15 practices from countries in the region that range from agricultural monitoring and planning to water management, marine and coastal management, and general land use management. One example that I'd like to share is between Cambodia and China on CropWatch Cloud, which is a crop monitoring platform that's cloud-based, where countries can conduct their own crop monitoring. And this helped to bring universal access and easy to use templates to multiple countries, but in this example to Cambodia, where the Chinese Academy of Sciences, now AIR, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries of the government of Cambodia, customized the platform and to the needs of Cambodia and to the agricultural situation on the ground, and held capacity building activities, including some of this field work to really use an app to link and validate what's happening on the field to the monitoring platform, CropWatch. And the whole goal of this is to really help use this information for improved food security, to really understand the food production and productivity situation on the ground, and mostly focused in rice producing areas. This is one example of many. And geospatial technologies will be essential for the seamless connectivity across transport, ICT, and trade. And geospatial information will also help provide further insights into the socioeconomic impacts of this kind of connectivity. So we present 8 practices in this compendium from countries in the region that range from access to telecommunication services, transport management and traffic navigation, and urban planning for smart cities, all of which geospatial information plays an important role. In addition, this kind of information can help us better understand the growing number of individuals in vulnerable situations and how to best focus on high impact policies and actions. So the chapter on social development highlights 18 practices that range from inclusive urban planning to health management and contamination and pollution reduction. And I want to take a moment here to highlight the health aspect, as we're all living in this new reality with the COVID-19 pandemic, and how much space applications have helped support the response to COVID-19. And this infographic shows some of the ways, and there's many examples from countries in the region of how they've leveraged many of these different kinds of technologies and space applications from platforms and dashboards and with maps to track and trace and monitor, to apps and QR codes with the spatial element to help with social distancing and tracking, and statistical analysis of that can be mapped and integrated with geospatial information, and helping to identify target communities and at-risk populations, and analyzing things like the distribution and availability of food and medical supplies, and how that can be optimized as well to reach those who are in most need. So all of these kinds of technologies and integration with other digital innovations are really helping and will continue to help the response to COVID-19. In addition, space applications offer opportunities to collect and manage and visualize the data that's required to make and track the progress toward achievement of affordable and clean energy for all. And the Compendium highlights 6 different practices from countries in the region and all around renewable energy infrastructure. The application of geospatial technologies presents valuable opportunities for providing evidence towards climate change mitigation and climate change adaptation. And therefore, in the climate change chapter, there are 9 practices that highlight climate modeling and projections, vulnerability and risk mapping, as well as greenhouse gas emissions and carbon monitoring. And these are some of the ways that countries in the region are using geospatial applications to help in the effort to combat climate change. And then we saw that there are many areas in all of these practices and the examples that we received from countries where there are trends, and trends specifically in integrating geospatial and non-geospatial technologies for innovation. And we decided to dedicate a chapter on these kinds of innovations and then split it into 3 different categories. The satellite communications that are really important, and I know that you in MGA are really thinking about this with the GNSS, and also geospatial data sharing and integration technology. So how can big data and crowdsourcing and cloud computing be leveraged with geospatial information? And then finally, data management and frameworks. So really, how can the different frameworks and ways of having spatial data infrastructure help support using this kind of information for sustainable development, and the trends that are coming, the innovative technologies that are here and countries in the region that are using them, and then those that really are coming and what countries can do to be more prepared. So looking at all of these different examples across these different topics and themes and the trends that we see coming, the Compendium identifies 7 key success factors to really leverage geospatial information for sustainable development. And the idea is that all 7 of these are underlined and accompanied by good governance. The first is to invest in cultivating national experts. So the element of capacity building, of training, which I'm sure many of you are really interested in if you're on the MGA channel here. And 2, integrating geospatial data with other kinds of data sources to really get the most out of the information we have. Data is really a new currency, and it has more added value the more ways we can use it. It's renewable, it doesn't disappear once it's been used. And use geospatial data for creating and implementing and monitoring policies. So that real link to evidence-based policymaking and then monitoring, and how geospatial information can be very important for that. 4, to incorporate geospatial information into national institutions and platforms. So really finding a way to make it part of the way that countries work and being able to fully leverage this information. And 5, to ensure privacy, safety, and ethics of data, and really to be able to know that it's protected and the people whose data is being shared is being used in an ethical way, while at the same time, number 6, also being able to provide open data access and broad sharing of data. As I mentioned, the more value can be added with the more that it can be used and integrated with other kinds of information and new kinds of analysis. and then to collaborate on all levels, from the local community level to the international cooperation that UNESCAP plays a key role in. And we advocate to continue investing in people, to examine practices, to develop processes for implementation, and then to formulate and enabling policies so that this geospatial data can be accessible, available, actionable, and affordable to benefit people. And we call this the 4 A's and the 4 P's. So really integrating the people and the processes with how the geospatial data can be used. And in conclusion, this compendium will hopefully promote peer learning and innovative thinking by sharing all of these practices and work that's happening on the ground now, and encourage regional cooperation. So those who really have experience and expertise can share with those who want to learn more. So another reason I really encourage, if you have questions or want for more information about any of the examples, to reach out to us in UNESCAP. And to also inspire increased investment in geospatial data-driven responses to building back better, and to support monitoring of the implementation of the plan of action. So this is really the first step, the baseline. And we know that countries in the region are using space applications and this geospatial information for sustainable development across various sectors. And this demonstrates the diverse use and really vital role that space applications will continue to play in the future. So I thank you very much for your attention. Again, here is the QR code to get you to the compendium link where you can download it and browse it. There's also a summary version of it there at that link. Also, if you want something a little bit faster to go through. And as I said before, we welcome your feedback. Feel free to email me. And I hope this was enjoyable and useful for you. Thank you again for listening.